did Substance Painter project. You've done everything that you can possibly think of to your character to get a texture. So, what you then want to do is export. So go File, Export. And there's two. There's Export Mesh and Export Textures. So this is kind of if you ever forget the mesh, or if you ever have lost the mesh somewhere in your travels, you can always extract the mesh again out of Substance Painter. It gives you that option. But mostly you're going to be exporting out textures. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to where it's exporting to and pick something nice and neutral. Also, let's make a new folder for it. Okay, so now it's not going to someplace random, it's going someplace direct. The second thing to do is choose the document, choose what it's going to be exporting. So right now it's doing a document channels. So whatever the channels we have over here, it's going to be exporting out those channels plus a combined normal map, and then an ocular occlusion. That's anytime you see AO, it's not ocular, it's an ambient occlusion. Anytime you see AO, it's an ambient occlusion, no alpha. That's kind of the initial one. We can set it to PBR, metallic roughness, displacement textures. There's a bunch of other ones. But we could also set it to Arnold AI standard. Now, when we go to the list of exports, it'll tell us exactly what it's going to be exporting. And you might notice it's also giving us a nice naming convention along with that text, along with this texture export. So we're doing AI standard. We've got a file type is PNG. You can set this to anything you want. PNGs are becoming the new norm, but back in my day, it was Targas was the big one to export out as. But a PNG is fine. Size based on each texture size. I'm actually going to set that specifically to 4096. Now, important, the padding. Currently, the padding is set to dilation infinite. Don't do that. Do dilation plus default background color, and then set the dilation amount. 16 is fine. So what the dilation is essentially at the borders of what your UVs are. It will plop the texture down as is, like exactly as you paint, or exactly as you have created, projected, however you created those materials, however it's displaying. But then past that edge, it's going to dilate. It's going to basically take that last pixel along the outer edge and expand it out by a couple of pixels. Now, if you leave this defaulted to infinite, those edges will just keep going. They won't overlap each other when the dilated edges of two UVs meet. They'll create a border. So it'll basically make like a crystal pattern. Your textures will look weird, but they'll be perfectly serviceable. This one keeps them nice and tight. Essentially, we're saying only go out 16 inches. Again, if it meets up with another border, it will stop. But for the most part, or 16 pixels, but for the most part, it will only expand out to 16 and then stop. We could set this to 8 or whatever, but we're doing 40K textures, so 16 is nothing. And with this, we'll move to the next section, which is the output templates. So right now, if we look, actually, let's do save settings real quick. I don't mind always. Okay, so it's doing a base color, an emissive, a height, a metalness, a normal map, and a roughness. Oh, it's because it's set to Amazon Lumberyard. Okay, so the output template is essentially the settings for what it's actually going to output. I know that this says something based off of us setting this to output template. But sometimes that's not, there it is, AI, Arnold AI standard. So, and here we get a little string of code, which this gives us our list of our exports. So from the output template, we can see $mesh. So that means whatever the mesh's name was when we started, which is our texture set. It's the so it's the mesh name, which is going to be kid for substance for us. And then next is $texture set. So whatever the texture set was. So the eye's tongue, that'll be what's next. And then next it'll do underscore base color. And these last two, I'm not sure exactly what they're doing. $color space, $. All right, not sure, but it's fine. We don't have to understand everything that it does. It's this first part that's the important part, the stuff that's not in a percentage or inside parentheses. We're going to need to know this kind of stuff because we're going to add one. Because notice it's not giving it, we've got an emissive, which we don't need unless you have an emissive material. If you've got a material that you want it to glow with, with that interior light, then you want an emissive. But I don't have anything emissive. I don't need this. Also, I technically don't need a height map. I want the normal map, but I don't need the height map, so I'm going to get rid of that one too. So now I've got base color, metalness, specular roughness, and a normal map. But what I do need is a subsurface scattering. It's a no, that is not. Oh, right. Okay, so we need a new RGB. Then there it is. From Yes. Oh no. All right, this is not. I guess the scattering is gray. So do a grayscale from I'm dragging from scattering to the little GR in there, and we'll do from gray channel. There, that's how it's supposed to work. And now we type in, we do $mesh. $mesh. Underscore $texture set underscore SSS. Probably best to do the underscore color space. Just basically duplicating what they've got. At the top here. If you forget this part of it, you'll still be okay. But just know this is how you add things to your list of exports. Because as we look at the list of exports now, we are no longer getting the things that we don't need, and we're getting the things that we do need. All right, with that done, and we have saved. This is the important part. Save your settings and then save this before you hit export. Because not to say that Substance Painter will crash when you try to do this, but this is probably where it gets the crashiest. So prepare yourself. We're still going to where we want to go. Yes. Okay. Export. Green down the line. Applause? Yes? Let's show Substance Painter some appreciation. It's just done a lot of work for us. Now save again and close it. Okay, let's take a look at what we have wrought. Can you open it in Photos, please? God damn. In Paint? Okay, it's in there. Jesus. Well, as you can see, it's burned out. It's burned out color maps, it's burned out specular roughnesses, it's burned out normal maps. Using the height maps that we put in there, it generated normal maps off of that. So all that information gets outputted. We have metalness, which I didn't actually use any metals in mine, so my metals are going to be blank. But if you have metal as part of your character, that will also be lit up like Christmas. I didn't do an opacity map for the hair. Damn. Okay. can't, this is a good learning. File, export texture, and we're going to turn off everything except hair eyebrows. And then we'll go to output template. Oh good, it didn't save. Hooray! All right, so we're going to get rid of that. Get rid of height. Get rid of metalness because we don't have metal. And then we'll make a gray and grab opacity from gray channel. Actually, you can just copy paste from normal and then just replace normal with opacity. Okay, fine. Okay, actually, hair eyebrows already has everything else. So let's do new export preset. Gray. Opacity. There we go. So you can do one thing. You just gotta build yourself a new, so I don't need to redo the hair color and the hair metal and the hair specular roughness. I just need the opacity. So what I did was, I had created a new export preset, and I loaded only opacity into it. So you can make your own. You just need to know how to finesse it. Okay, export that. Hooray. Okay, now we'll close it. And we bring up Maya. Once more. Any questions on the export process? It's pretty straightforward. It's just also, this is probably this is a pretty good computer. Since a lot of you are working on laptops, I would recommend if you've got one of those like stands that has a fan under it, get that out. And also be prepared to make a 3-course banquet, 3 to 5 course banquet, and then eat it, because that's probably how long it's going to take.
Mine took like 2 minutes.
Oh, did it? Maybe they've gotten better. Okay.